it's better to die moving forward than to survive backing away. The coach demands that you hold your ground and attack. Even if you miss the shot, you are not allowed to retreat. Today, we'll discuss the differences in your forehand structure, as many players don't distinguish between looping and driving. Furthermore, their body mechanics lack a complete, standard form. The foundation of table tennis is always your framework. A weak framework means your entire game will be unstable. Let's start with the drive, focusing first on positioning. With the forehand, the closer you are to the table, the smaller your swing should be. Now, as I move back, the reason I hit the net is that my swing is too small for this mid-distance position. Conversely, playing close to table, you often go long because your swing is too big. For instance, trying to add power causes the swing to enlarge, sending the ball off the table. When you're close to table, your swing should be smaller and forearm dominant. From mid-distance, you must integrate your upper arm with your forearm. The goal here is to increase the quality and arc of your shot. From far distance, you'll rely even more on your upper arm. This is why many male professional coaches emphasize using the upper arm more and not overly closing the forearm, as their game is often played from the mid to far distance in counterloop rallies. From that distance, more upper arm power is essential, so their advice is correct for that context. We simply choose different mechanics for different positions. If you're an amateur player who rallies from mid-distance after an opening loop, you should study the women's style of play. I don't recommend amateurs play too far from the table. It increases the court you have to cover and demands too much power, feel, and spin generation. For a mid-distance style of play, your close-to-table shots should be forearm-driven. From the mid-distance zone, you must coordinate your upper arm and forearm. From far distance, the upper arm must take the lead. Without it, you simply won't have the power to clear the net. Far-distance shots require power from the upper arm. Second topic, center of gravity. The closer you are to the table, should your center of gravity be higher or lower? The answer is, the closer you are, the lower it must be, especially for short, in-table balls. If your center of gravity is high, you can't reach the ball effectively. For any shot near the net, get your body weight down. In a match, for a short ball, your center of gravity must be extremely low, almost parallel to the table. The rule is, closer to the table means lower center of gravity. For example, if you block close to the table while standing upright, the ball will likely fly out. You must press your weight down to control the block. However, if I'm blocking from mid-distance, I can be more upright and still make the shot. So when blocking close to table, you cannot control the ball without lowering your center of gravity. Similarly, for a forehand drive close to the table, your center of gravity must be low. But as you step back to loop, your body can begin to rise and fall with the stroke. For short balls over the table, the shorter the ball, the lower your body must be. For instance, a long push requires a low stance, as does a half-long ball. Only on deep balls can your posture be a bit more upright. You don't need to squat as deeply. If you squat too low for a deep ball, you'll struggle to find the contact point and may hit the net. This is because you need to use your body's upward movement to create a longer arc. However, for close-to-table play, there is no such vertical body movement. For all close-to-table shots, your center of gravity must stay low throughout the entire stroke. Take the flick, for example. There's no rising motion because the shot trajectory must be low and short. Therefore, you must keep your center of gravity suppressed to achieve precise control over the arc. Third question, the closer you are to the table, should your body rotation be larger or smaller? The answer is smaller. This is why many players make errors in backhand to forehand transition drills. Their body rotation is simply too large for the short distance. If I use that same large rotation from mid-distance, it works, because the distance requires a bigger swing. But at the table, excessive body rotation will make your shot arc too long, causing you to hit out. When playing close to table, remember that both your swing and your body rotation must be compact. This is also a common issue in blocking. If your opponent loops and your body sways, you'll lose control of the block. Even a little bit of body movement is too much. Your body must be stable when blocking. When you're first learning the forehand drive, you use waist and hip rotation to feel the motion. However, in a real match during fast rallies close to the table, you don't have time to rotate your waist and hips. In a close-to-table exchange, if your swing is too big, you will make an error. Now, what about transitioning from mid-distance, say less than a meter from the table? Should you rotate your body? First, understand the purpose of body rotation. First, rotation creates momentum, which allows for better continuity and follow-up shots. Without it, you'll hit one or two shots and then your sequence will break down. Second, rotation is used to increase single-shot quality. It's for loading and generating power. So, during a rally, if your opponent's shot has high quality or they change placement aggressively, no matter where you are standing, you won't have time to execute a full body rotation. You must read the quality of the incoming ball. If the opponent's shot is powerful, get in position and execute the stroke directly without a pre-rotation. On a fast ball, move and hit, no rotation. Right now, I'm over a meter from the table, which is mid-distance. If the opponent's ball is slow or has low quality, then I have time to rotate and generate power. Watch closely, the ball is slow, so I rotate, because I want to hit with power. So, it's not that playing far from the table automatically means you rotate. It always depends on the incoming ball. In a rally, if your body is not stable and you're swaying, your consistency will be very poor. A common mistake among male players is using too large a motion, which leads to instability. In contrast, the women's style often involves minimal body rotation. After the first loop, the second shot is a quick, early timed counter. The men's style often involves taking a small step back after the opening loop to create a larger swing. So, when your opponent's shot lacks quality, you absolutely have the time to rotate your body. But even then, like here at close range, the rotation must be very compact. We've just demonstrated mid-distance and close-to-table play. Your body can rotate, but especially when transitioning from backhand to forehand, the range of that rotation must be small. The power from your body should be explosive and tight, like a short punch, not a loose, flowing twist. You cannot sway your body like that, your stroke will be unstable. Your body must stop rotating before your arm finishes. If they stop simultaneously, you'll overswing and lose control of the racket. This isn't a slow backspin ball where you have time for a full wind-up. Topspin rallies are fast, so your power must be concentrated. To generate power, tighten your glutes, engage your core, and drive with your hips. The feeling should be as if you're wearing a weightlifting belt. Your core is braced, making the movement very compact. If your core is loose, for example, if you're sticking your stomach out, your movement will be disconnected. In a topspin rally, even a small amount of looseness will cause the ball to go out. When you feel like you're late to the ball, do not rotate your body. If you're rushed, just square your body to the ball and execute the stroke. Any extra body movement will make you lose control. When the incoming ball feels slow, but your footwork is a bit late, that is the worst time to add body rotation. In that situation, face forward completely and use only your arm to aim for the contact point. Most amateur players will find themselves in this late situation often, as reaction and movement are typically slower. So that's the relationship with body rotation. You can rotate, but the movement must be compact. Think of it like Latin dancing, the movements are sharp and staccato, not a wide, flowing twist. My rotation can be small, but my core must always be engaged. Now, let's talk about the arm action. Close to the table, your forearm should be held relatively level. As you move to a mid-distance position, your forearm should start to drop slightly lower. If you're playing from mid-distance, your forearm needs to be positioned even lower. Here's the rule for topspin rallies: the farther you are from the table, the lower your forearm should be in the ready position. And the closer you are, the higher you must keep your forearm. For example, in a backspin to topspin drill, after you loop the first ball and your opponent blocks it short, you cannot drop your forearm again, or you will hit the ball out. So, when responding to a short ball, you must raise your hand position for the next shot. From this position, your forearm should be neutral or only slightly down, never low. If your forearm is too low, the arc of your loop will be too long and go out. So, the closer you are, the more level your forearm angle must be, as any downward dip will create an excessive arc. Therefore, the forehand drive is a forward motion, from back to front. Notice how short pips players squat low and keep their arm up. They do this to prevent the forearm from dropping. When looping from mid-distance, you can drop your forearm slightly, but not too low or you'll hit the net. From a full mid-distance position, dropping the forearm completely is acceptable. From close and mid-distance, topspin shots are typically hit with a flat, forward trajectory, with very little upward lift. Only when you are a meter or more back from the table should you start thinking about creating a high, looping arc. Therefore, you must decide your technique and forearm position based on your distance from the table. Don't just blindly copy a coach who says, "This is the standard loop." This is why, when practicing continuous topspin loops, you should start by moving back a bit. This distance allows you to execute the full motion correctly. Here's another question: should you focus more on forward momentum when you're close to the table, or when you're far away? The answer is, you should always be moving forward. Remember this rule: always play forward. My coach used to put a barrier behind us, teaching us the professional mindset. It's better to die moving forward than to survive backing away. What this means is that in a rally, the natural instinct is to back up. The coach demands that you hold your ground and attack. Even if you miss the shot, you are not allowed to retreat. Why must you stay forward? To use the power from your opponent's shot. If I stand back here, I can't use their pace. I have to generate all the power myself, or the ball will go into the net. But if you stand forward, you can easily borrow the ball's incoming energy. Watch how little effort I use. I'm just redirecting his power. The harder he hits, the better for me, because he's closer to making a mistake. By using his pace, I can actually produce a higher quality shot myself. Many players can't sustain a rally because their timing and direction are off. One player hits forward, the other hits up, one hits low, the other hits high. It feels like you're constantly hitting high balls, which is awkward for your partner, and you can't find a rhythm, leading to quick errors. A proper rally requires both players to move forward into the ball, using each other's pace with minimal effort. Another issue: from far distance, if you only swing upwards without driving forward, the ball will hit the net. You must drive forward and upward to give the arc enough length to clear the net. Therefore, every stroke in table tennis must have a forward component, even a flick against backspin. A backspin flick needs a forward and upward motion. If you only go straight up, you won't grip the ball properly, and it will still go into the net. The biggest problem for amateurs is dealing with backspin. As soon as they see spin, they instinctively try to lift the ball straight up, and it still ends up in the net. Every ball requires forward momentum. The only difference is what you do while moving forward. For topspin, you move forward and close your forearm. For backspin, you move forward and brush the ball. Many players miss their pushes because their motion is downward. If you don't send the racket forward, how can the ball go forward? Some players say driving forward against topspin makes the ball go long. That's because you're not finishing your stroke by closing your forearm. You must move forward and close the arm. That's how you generate power without hitting the ball out. Others say looping forward against backspin goes into the net. That means your brushing action is insufficient. The requirement to move forward forces you to develop proper brushing technique. Without it, the ball will go into the net. Every stroke in table tennis must move forward into the ball. This includes pushes, blocks, and everything else. The key is what you do while moving forward. Drive with the hips, close the arm, or brush the ball. Why do you sometimes hit even a high ball into the net? Because your backswing went down instead of forward, killing your momentum. The same principle applies to the backhand. Many players can't rally on the backhand because their stroke is too close to their body and lacks a forward send. If you just touch the ball in front of your stomach, it has no chance of clearing the net. You must extend your forearm forward to rally effectively. When we rally, we are both driving forward into the ball. Just tapping the ball in front of your body will not work. It's the same for lifting backspin. Fear of the spin makes players hesitant to go forward, and this is more pronounced on the backhand side. If you are afraid to drive forward on your backhand, you will never develop a quality shot, as the backhand requires even more forward commitment. On the forehand, you can use your upper arm to help lift the ball. The backhand doesn't have that luxury. Lifting with the arm will just pop the ball up. So you must be aggressive and attack the ball. In simple terms, when you make contact, don't be a coward and retreat. You must drive into the ball to create friction, drive into it while closing your arm, always commit forward. If your brushing skill isn't good enough, then practice it. But do not retreat from the ball. Don't lift up on backspin and just block topspin. That isn't quality stroking, that's just getting the ball back.